Hey everyone, welcome back. Today's video is going to be a quick foundation review on two medium coverage foundations that I have been testing out, and I kind of felt that they fell into a similar category, and I wanted to give you my thoughts on them because I've really been enjoying both of them, and they are extremely long lasting and give like more of a medium coverage, which I think is nice, especially in the winter time. You can kind of get away with maybe like a heavier coverage foundation because you don't feel like it's like melting off your face like you do in the summer. Even though I do like wearing a full face of makeup in the summer, I do tend to obviously go towards like a lighter texture foundation, but there's those days where you just feel like it's like melting off your face. In the winter, you don't have to worry about that. So the two foundations I am talking about today are going to be the Teint Idole Ultra 24-Hour Makeup from Lancome. And this is not a new foundation, so this is the very popular foundation and kind of an older foundation that's been around. I don't know how long it's been around. I don't think it's been around for years, or maybe it has. But it's new to me. And then this one is new, and it's the Makeup Forever Ultra HD foundation. Now, I'm sure you guys have heard about this one, and it's, the different than the HD foundation, it's the Ultra HD foundation. All right, I'll first start off with the Makeup Forever Ultra HD. I've tried the HD foundation. It worked a little bit for me in the beginning, and then it just started getting really patchy and streaky, and I just wasn't loving the finish. So I had some reservations about trying this initially, and I went with the shade Y215. There was a Y205 that actually was too light. Who would have thought? I definitely didn't see that coming. Rarely are things too light for me, but it was a little too light for me, even in the winter. So I went with the Y215, and it definitely is a little more yellow, which I like and I prefer. So when I first tried it, I talked about it in a video because I think I used it in one of my tutorials. Yes, I did. Just recent tutorial. And as I was applying it, I was talking about how I had some growing pains initially with this because when I apply it on the skin, it's not a very emollient foundation in the way that like it moves around really easily. I kind of found that I put it on the skin and it would just kind of stick and just kind of, not glide over the skin. It would just kind of, be really difficult to move around. Long story long, I figured out a way to work with it because I loved the finish. After I first applied it and I kind of was like trying to move it around, and it was, really a difficult process the first time I applied it, I was really shocked after 5 or 10 minutes how gorgeous my skin looked afterwards. Obviously it's Ultra HD, so it's supposed to give you like a super flawless airbrush finish, as much as you can get from a foundation without it being like actually fake. So I found that it gave a gorgeous flawless finish, and it lasted all day long. It kept me very like a natural matte, so I wasn't getting too oily with it. It wasn't too flat on me. It just gives a really gorgeous like natural finish. So we made up, and because at first I was like, I am not feeling you, and then I was like, oh, maybe I am, and now I'm kind of like, okay, we definitely are together. And how I've learned to work with it is just use a smaller amount and kind of buff in that area rather than kind of trying to cover a large area with my brush. It's just kind of like buff it in here, then buff it in here, then buff it in here, and just kind of keep adding a little bit each time. I also found that if my skin it has to be very hydrated, and it can be slightly damp. Or I can use, I use my Tatcha Pore Perfecting Sunscreen, which it will glide over. But if my skin is too dry, like the Pore Perfecting Sunscreen is nice because it acts almost as a primer because it has some slip to it. But if my skin is like too dry, this will just not move. So I kind of had to find that balance, and I've definitely found that balance at this point, but it took me a little bit. And then once I was able to figure out all the ins and outs of how it would work for me, then I really fell in love with it. And I think it's a beautiful foundation. I think it's definitely worth checking out, and I love that it has a wide shade range, and it kind of does you can have the ability to build it up to a little bit more fuller coverage, or definitely take it down to more sheer. I always prefer heavier coverage foundations anyway, because I feel like you can sheer them out more than you can build up a sheer foundation to be full. That's never going to happen. So really highly recommend that. Moving on to the Lancome Teint Idole. Now I have two shades here, but the one I've been using has been 110 Ivory C. I do have the 140 Ivory N, but I've been really enjoying the 110 Ivory C, and it's been working for me really well. And I think probably maybe in the summer, if I just get like a hint darker, I might add the 140. Now this is a retouch-free, wear and comfort 24-hour makeup. And I had heard really great things about this and was really interested to try it just because like a long-wearing foundation, I just love the idea because it's probably going to really, any type of like long-wearing foundations are probably going to give really good coverage. It's going to have a really nice finish, and I would guess that it probably would be really great for someone with oily skin, really helping to keep it looking natural throughout the day and not get shiny and slip and slide all over your face or off your face. This I fell in love with instantly. There was no growing pains or figuring out how to use it or how I was going to like it. I just put some in my hand, took my brush, and it was very emollient. It spread really easily, and it just went on gorgeous. In fact, as I was applying it the first time I ever tried it, I put some in the back of my hand, and I'm using my brush, and I'm buffing it in. And before I even got to like one cheek, I was like looking in the mirror. I was like, "Oh, that's beautiful." And I kept going back, and I was like, "That is gorgeous." I didn't expect it to be as I didn't expect it to disappear into the skin as much as it did, because it really gives significant coverage. I would call this, like, for me it was medium coverage, and I'm sure if I added some, I can hear Elmo outside the door. He's like snorting and stuff outside the door because he wants to get in. And like I said, it's medium coverage that I think really you can build up to be quite full coverage depending on how you apply it. So I really wasn't expecting to disappear as much into the skin and really look as invisible as it did. I mean, I wear foundation every day, and I'm okay with, you can still see makeup on my skin. I mean, I'm not fooling anybody here. I mean, you can still see foundation is on my skin. I do have some formulas, like my Glossier Skin Tint, which literally looks like it is skin. Like, I truly can't see the product on my face. There's another one, Zelens, the Youth Glow foundation. That as well just disappears right into the skin. But a lot of them, like today, what am I wearing? Oh, the Laura Mercier Smooth Finish Flawless Fluid. It's a long name. But absolutely love this foundation, love the color, but I can still see it on my skin. Doesn't bother me. I mean, it's not cakey, but I can see it. This, so shocked because it just disappeared right into the skin. Gorgeous color. And gave me just like this great natural finish, slightly naturally matte, like I didn't need to use a powder, and then lasted all day long. No touch-ups with powder, no kind of pulling or separating, nothing. Just flat out, 10 to 12 hours, it was like locked, and was really impressed, and now there's a reason why so many people kind of rave about it. So both are very similar in the way that they kind of give like a medium coverage foundation. I felt that they kind of gave a natural matte finish to the skin. The HD was a little bit dewier. It's not very dewy, but it definitely had a little bit more radiance to it than this one. This one, if we had to compare the two, I definitely felt this one was a little more flat. This one was a little bit more radiant, but on me it definitely wore down to more of a natural finish. This more natural matte. But like I said, gorgeous because you can sheer them out to be quite sheer. You could even just kind of spot treat if you didn't want to use do it on the whole face. I know a lot of people are like not a big fan of wearing foundation as I do. Like, I cover the whole face. I like to go all the way back and all the way. I don't go down my neck though, because I don't want it to get on my clothes. Try to like just bring it down a little bit, but I go all the way back. But these are the type of foundations that I feel like people could just like dot, 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 and kind of center it more here and just kind of buff it in and just kind of, blend it out just a little bit rather than having to really cover the whole face, because I think the coverage on it is just absolutely beautiful. So I thought I would, kind of group these two together in a video and do a review for you all at once. and hope you enjoyed. I will link both of them below, and I will talk to you guys soon. Okay? Take care. Bye-bye.